Welcome to GibSams Wellbeing at Work podcasts. These are a series of conversations which aim to bring new ideas and perspectives around well-being at work. GibSams is a Gibraltar registered charity providing free helpline and chat services for those who may be suffering emotional distress and championing a culture of well-being for all. I'm Mary Lou, the founder and chairman of GibSams, and my fellow trustee, Kerstin, will be chatting to the recipients of our Corporate Wellbeing Awards who have very kindly agreed to share how implementing well-being measures has resulted in benefits for both employees and their organizations. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the GibSams Wellbeing at Work podcast. And today I have the absolute pleasure to speak to Faith Howe from EY. She's an associate partner and the deputy talent leader at EY. And EY has also received, they were one of the first companies to apply for a Wellbeing Award back in 2019. And they have also received a Wellbeing Star Award back in 2020. And hopefully you're going to be applying again this year. So thank you very much for coming on to the podcast, Faith, and it's lovely to have you here and speak to you today.
It's great to be here, Kerstin. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So I'm very aware of all the great work you guys have been doing at EY for quite a while now. You've been really leading this locally also. So it'd be really interesting to get an understanding of how you guys see well-being at work, how you see it evolving and what it means to you.
Well, the type of work that EY does, as a professional services firm, the products, the services that we deliver to our clients, really none of that would be possible without our people. So it may sound cliche and, we may hear it all the time from different companies, but it really is true that our people are our assets, because if you cannot rely on your people, or if your people are not in a good place to be able to deliver mentally, physically, then you would not achieve that success as a business. So we've always recognized that we wouldn't be going anywhere if we do not invest in our people. So this is really the crux of why we place so much importance in well-being at the workplace, because a healthy body helps support a healthy mind, and being in an environment where you feel that you belong and you're able to be yourself and not be afraid to speak up, whether something is going on mentally that hinders the progress of your work, or whether it be physically, if people in the workplace are not comfortable to be able to bring any issues up, then it's never going to be a good workplace or a good environment to work in. So that's triggered, historically, why we've always given this a lot of focus in EY.
And I presume over the since the first Wellbeing Awards, and we received your application back in 2019 to today, obviously a lot has changed in the world for everyone.
Yes.
And so how have things evolved, or how have they changed, if they have changed at all, in terms of how you're approaching well-being or how you're approaching supporting your people?
I'm going to be honest, Kerstin, it's very challenging because the times are changing so fast. 1 minute you're in lockdown, the next you're not. And even before that, the needs of different individuals, we've recognized they always evolve. So we always try and come up with new things to spark the interest of our people. So before, we used to hold, pre-COVID, if I may, we had the Sofa to Fit challenge, and we had, activities such as going up the rock, and we also had the mindfulness sessions. And during COVID, that still happened, but just in a different way. we held challenges about, you know, the number of steps you can achieve. I think we also tried to do the pilgrimage walk all the way to, I can't remember the place now, but
Santiago, was it Santiago?
yes,
Oh,
El
yes.
Camino, I think, yes, that's
Yes.
it. And you know, so, and but we had to do it in, you know, individually in our own time because we were all working remotely. So coming up with different ways to engage and to keep that well-being, you know, in the forefront during COVID was interesting and challenging. We also make available to our people, you know, even through EY, not just Gibraltar, we get a lot of materials and support about, you know, mindfulness. We have a mindfulness community page that people can refer to if they want tips on working from home, how best to, you know, organize your work environment so it's, you know, it's not detrimental, and there's that you know, divide between the home and the work life. So it's been different, and it's continuously evolving.
And may I just ask, because you mentioned mindfulness a few times, what are the benefits that you have seen, or how has the response been from people in terms of it impacting their well-being?
I think people really appreciate that we provide them with the avenue, and you know, because you've been involved in those sessions and you've led them, you know, it's really helped them to be open. It's helped them to recognize where they need to focus in certain areas of the work, or even in their personal life. And hopefully it's also promoted that transparency and communication within the teams or between the teams.
Great. And so from what you were saying, what I'm really hearing quite strongly is that EY is really looking, always focused on adapting to what your people need. But I guess over this last year and a half, or almost, well, not quite 2 years, but year and a half, also adapting to what the external changes that are, of course, that are constantly happening. So how do you, as an organization, how do you, hold both those things, giving attention to that, because that is obviously, outside of the everyday work as the service you provide as a business, this is additional, and it's quite complex. What have you found helpful? How do you hold that?
I think we always try and go back to our purpose, because that kind of centers us. Our purpose as an organization to build a better working world, it all just links from there, because the well-being, the mindfulness, the health of our people, that is one of the key pillars. If you have strong performing teams, because they understand the purpose, their own purpose, which links to the purpose of the organization, and they're able to relate to that, and they understand that taking care of themselves means that they're able to deliver and to succeed in their personal and professional goals. It kind of brings everything together. So going back to the purpose and always remembering the purpose, and if you find yourself kind of straying away, helping the people around you to recenter and kind of remember that purpose, always helps. Always helps.
And you also said with that, which is very interesting, it's not just the purpose of the organization, but also the purpose of the individual, the purpose of perhaps the team, and why are we doing what we're doing?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, different people have obviously different goals, but what we're trying to do in EY is to help people to understand their personal purpose first, and find, the link into how they can contribute to that wider organizational purpose. Because building a better working world, it's not just a physical or a tangible idea. It's also intangible, in the sense that we as a firm play an important role in the community. not just in the financial services community, but in the wider community. That's why we engage a lot. We work with a lot of organizations, such as Cycle. We work with you. We work with a lot of people to be able to establish that link, not just from a financial services and financial community perspective, but the wider community. And that helps the people within the organization to, latch on and relate, because it's a lot more personal for them if they know that they're making a difference, not just to our clients and the businesses of our clients, but to the wider community as well.
So you're really, what you're really highlighting there for your people, so for me listening, is that interconnectedness of not just on a business level, but beyond that. And so I'm very strongly hearing sort of the connection that we have with everything around us, and also you've spoken earlier about belonging. Would you talk a little bit more around that? Because I think especially since we've gone through COVID and through lockdown, this seems to be a really important area that can be challenging for organizations to maintain and build and continue that connection between their people, but also within the wider world.
Yeah, belonging can mean different things to different people. It could be belonging because you're part of a diverse community. You come from different backgrounds, yet you still are able to connect and to respect each other's differences. So that is an important piece that we give focus on. Diversity and inclusiveness is also at the core of EY's goals and principles. So that is which is why belonging is important for us. And even in the period of COVID, and even now, to promote that sense of belongingness, we always try and hold sessions with teams, have or create avenues or opportunities for people to voice out their opinions, their feelings. We have a framework like the counseling relationships. We have a counselor and a counselee relationship, which gives opportunities for people to feel that they are listened to. And it's an opportunity for them to not just to have that guidance in terms of their career development, but also as an avenue to express their needs, their opinions, and be comfortable to talk about the state of their work, the state of their personal life that could impact the work, or vice versa. So I think that whole piece contributes to that sense of belongingness. And during COVID, we made an extra effort, especially because physically we're not together. We would hold community calls twice a week, non-work related. Nice. Totally, because the whole point was to switch off and have that connection with everybody, and to make everybody remember that we're all here. Even if, for example, you live alone, you can reach out. You still belong to this one big family, and we are here for each other. So that, I think, just strengthened that sense of belongingness, and that's something that really hopefully sparked energy even during the most difficult times. We had so much fun. We had so much fun on these community calls. You cannot imagine. We would be playing bingo. We would have, loads of games on Kahoots. It became quite competitive at one point. As you can imagine, a room full of accountants getting competitive. But yeah, it was very fun. And it's a fun way to foster that sense of belongingness.
I'm smiling because I'm looking at the wall behind you, and I can see the word being and it's obviously being a better working world.
Yes, because I'm in the beehive. This is it's our little community space, if you may. People gather here, and it's a good place to, you know, have lunch together, have a short meeting. So we call it the beehive. That's why it's being a better working world.
And it's lovely, because all the things you're saying is, it sounds like it's really creating space and opportunities for people to be themselves. And I think there's often sort of I don't know, perhaps a bit of a connotation that being means not doing, but being is
being in the present.
Being in the present also includes doing and moving forwards and achieving, but in a way that is grounded. So I seeing that, I just, and what you were saying, I thought, oh, what a lovely fit. But I'm interested, because obviously EY is a global organization. And I'm aware that obviously you've already mentioned that there is resources and many things available for your people from EY globally. Is there a difference, and if so, what is the difference when you're looking at wellbeing at work locally, specifically to Gibraltar, the jurisdiction here, the culture here, and also the different cultures of the people within your organization versus, you know, EY globally?
I think I would say definitely there's a difference, and the main difference, I think, is actually to our advantage, and the fact that we are a smaller office, and because we have a smaller sized office, it's easier for us to execute and deliver on our strategies in terms of well-being for our people. It becomes a lot more personal. We don't just get you know, a list or tools or guidance. We can connect on a one-to-one level. We can really sit down face to face with a person. And I say face to face because even Gibraltar, you know, post COVID is still happening, but you know, we've been lucky enough that we are now able to go back to our workplaces and have that physical presence and connection, which makes that execution and, you know, having that personal session with a person, the mindfulness sessions, having them in person is really different, isn't it? So I think that's where the big difference lies. Obviously, locally, we connect with local organizations. So, you know, we want to be involved with at a global scale as well, and we do participate, but we bring it down specifically to the Gibraltar community. So we work with a lot of Gibraltar organizations, GibSams, you know, Cycle, yourself, and others.
Wonderful. Again, it really sort of highlights that interconnectedness of, you know, it doesn't have to be one, but it's sort of different. I guess, well, I'm imagining it as circles, but there's different layers to it.
To give you an example, globally in EY, we have this initiative called the EY Ripples, and it's linked to, you know, that purpose of, you know, what is our responsibility to, you know, what is our contribution to the wider community. And, you know, loads of different EY offices would have their, you know, would form their own initiatives. There's also a global initiative that everybody can participate in. And that's what we've done. We've localized the EY Ripples, and we've connected with the organizations to make sure that our people have the opportunity to contribute, because that links to that well-being and you know, the whole well-being space. Because if they're able to participate in initiatives that, you know, do well for the community or contribute so much to the community, it's that feel good factor. As a human being, you know, it's natural to feel good that you're contributing and that you're helping. So that helps the overall well-being of our people.
Yeah, I love that you've highlighted that, you know, us contributing to something, it gives us such a strong sense of purpose and fulfillment and satisfaction that really raises our well-being. And sometimes we forget that there's this other side of well-being, which is very, very fulfilling. And we sometimes look at well-being as something where we just have to give support, but it's also the other way around, where people giving
Yeah,
is also contributing to well-being. So yeah,
exactly.
thank you for highlighting that. I'd love to carry on talking for much longer, but I'm conscious of time, and I'm thinking for the people listening, and perhaps there are companies that are just starting out with implementing a well-being strategy at work, or some companies might be starting to think about it even. What would be your advice? Where do you start? What would be something simple, easy to do? Because as you said, it's a really broad topic.
Yeah. Well, I think the best way to start is really to listen to your people. Reach out in whatever medium you feel comfortable in, or what your organization feels comfortable in, whether it's a one-on-one session, a group session, or a poll, a survey. Listen to your people, because all of your people will have wonderful ideas, and because it's for them, they would want to feel involved in developing that program of well-being. And obviously follow through. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. A lot of people will need encouraging, and some people might be skeptical in the beginning, but tone from the top is important. And I think that's what's really helped us, because its tone from the top has been very strong and very solid, in that this is a very important initiative for us. So tone at the top is important as well. Consistency is also important. It's not just something that if you want to show that sincerity, and you want to make sure that you build that connection with your people, so that they can trust that this is something that you are invested in. And really have fun, because it's not supposed to be rigid. For this to work, you have to have fun, and to make yourself feel like you're a human being, not a robot at work.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what your people want to feel.
I love everything you said. I think it's so important to look at it as a process and something that evolves.
Exactly.
Because our organizations change. Sometimes people come, people go, things change. The world around us is changing, so it's constantly adapting, and we can grow with that. And the tone from the top and the sincerity and consistency, I think, if that's there, it will create trust, and having a place where you go to work and you feel safe and secure, that in itself is so valuable.
Exactly.
I think we sometimes forget how the sort of invisible things are really valuable and really important. So thank you for that.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Faith, for taking the time to speak to me today. And
I had fun, Kerstin.
Good. This is what it's all about.
I'm glad you invited me. I'm happy to be here, and hopefully anyone listening to the podcast would be able to get some ideas or benefit from the messages.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure the listeners will take loads of very valuable ideas and ways of moving forwards, and ways of thinking about well-being at work with them, because sometimes I think that can be sort of a big topic, but it's, as you said, you start somewhere, and you start by listening to your people. So that's wonderful advice. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Kerstin.
Thank you for listening to this episode of GibSams Wellbeing Podcasts, which I hope you have enjoyed. If you're interested in applying for one of our Wellbeing Recognition Awards, or would like our assistance in implementing a wellbeing strategy and building a culture of wellbeing at your place of work, please get in touch with us at wellbeing@gibsams.gi. Thank you once again for joining us.